What's up, party people? You guessed it. More books and another short story from O'Connor. Before we start though, I will admit, okay, I have to make a confession. I did go sicko mode, and I hauled, bought, obtained, stole perhaps, over like 50 some books this weekend. So there's lots of hot stuff coming, just wait. But for today, our first book in our stack comes from Seamus Heaney. Seamus, not too sure. Sorry if I have any Irish fans watching. I always mispronounce all the Irish names. Seamus Heaney, New Selected Poems, okay. Seamus Heaney, Irish guy. He's famous for Death of a Naturalist. I think that's his first poetry compilation. I think he might have won the Nobel Prize in Literature for 1995. I could be messing that up with somebody else in the stack. Guys, before I make these videos, I research all the authors in the books, and sometimes my brain mixes them up. Just like I mix up my words sometimes and I can't talk. I can't enunciate. Anyway, I don't really know too much about this guy. To be honest, this is getting kind of contemporary. I don't really like buying contemporary stuff. But I think it's safe to say that he can be inducted into the Western canon. So anyways, I did pick up some Seamus Heaney. It's just poetry. Not to say just poetry. It's poetry, which is good. But it's a poetry compilation, which means that I can't say too much about it. Can't give you a summary. Anyways. Next up, we have a book from the, what would you call him? Reverend? Not Reverend. I don't know. He was some sort of bishop or something. And that's Thomas Merton. Okay, this is the book Zen and the Birds of Appetite. Thomas Merton was a Catholic, again, I'm not sure, priest, bishop, something. And he was very famous for sort of integrating Zen Buddhism and other Asian religions with Catholicism. And so big proponent of interfaith connection. And this book, I think, is a compilation of essays about Eastern religion and those concepts, and kind of making them palatable and understandable to a Westerner. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Thomas Merton. Next up, we have a book that I honestly should have had already, but somehow didn't. And that is none other than Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Okay, I know so there's some really strong Ayn Rand fans out there. Honestly, I couldn't tell you because I haven't read anything by her. What I know about her, born I think 1905, so like writing 20th century, and she's very much a product of her time, right? She started this system called objectivism, which I think there's still like adherence to it today. And basically the main proponent is like the rejection of like faith and like other ways of knowing, purely in just for rationalism, like for reason. That's like the foundational principle. So ultimately she's misguided, but hey, that doesn't mean you can't just write her off. It's interesting, in this book, there's like a postcard or something in the middle of the book. That's pretty cool. Nice. Oh, look at that. It's how you join the objectivism group. If you take the ideas in this book seriously and want to find out more, write to objectivism. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's a little piece of history. Anyways, Ayn Rand, Russian, and supported laissez-faire capitalism, which if you're writing in Russia in the middle of the 20th century and you support capitalism, that's kind of scary. So I don't know if she moved somewhere. Also, I feel like Atlas Shrugged was originally written in English. It's not translated, which means that she spoke multiple languages well enough to write in them, because her first language, of course, was Russian. So that's cool. Next up, we have two Oxford World Classics. Totally unrelated to each other, though. The first being, I think this one I'll do first. This is by H. Rider Haggard, and it's called She. Now, we've seen one of Haggard's books before, okay? I think he's writing, I don't know, 18th or 19th century, and he wrote King Solomon's Mines, which is the book that inspired Indiana Jones. After that book kind of took off, he wrote this one, and it's another kind of lost world genre. Lost world means that it's a genre of books that was really common back in that time that I'm not even sure what it is. Maybe there's a publication date on the inside here. Yeah, it's 19th century because he died 1925. So in the 19th, sorry, that would be, yes. So he's writing in the 19th century. Lost world genre is when people it's kind of like a sci-fi-ish, where people discover a lost ancient civilization, which is what happens in She. These guys travel to interior Africa and discover this matriarchal society that's ruled by this like demigoddess, who is referred to as she who must be obeyed. Yeah, I think it's just kind of like an interesting, what would you call it? Not a philosophy book, but like a, I'm having a brain fart. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Anyways, thought experiment. There we go. Got it. It was on the tip of my tongue. It's an interesting thought experiment book. Next up, we have Anne Radcliffe's The Romance of the Forest. Now, Anne Radcliffe, apparently she's the best writer of her day, which is saying something, because she wrote in the 19th century. End of the not 19th. What am I saying? End of the 18th century. So this book came out 1791, and she kind of helped popularize the Gothic romance. Now, this book explores, like kind of like dark themes of like desire and humanity, I guess. That's not really saying much, so I rescind that comment. Anyways, more specifically, the plot is about a girl, maybe and her mother, I'm not sure. They flee Paris because they have debt. They settle in this forgotten castle, and there's all these strange objects like a skeleton and a dagger. And then the caretaker of the castle is kind of like, the back cover says libidinous. That means he wants her. Okay, he's I think he's maybe chasing her around a little bit, and it's scary, and so she has to leave the castle, and it's like yeah. Anyways, apparently it's very good. So, what her other famous novels? I think this is maybe her most famous. I think maybe second place goes to The Mysteries of Udolpho, but it might be reversed. Anyways, first book by Anne Radcliffe somehow. But yeah, happy I was able to get this. Last one on our stack. Sorry, let me enunciate. Last one in our stack today is by Roald Dahl. Now, I thought my Roald Dahl collection was complete. I thought I had everything. So imagine my surprise when I am at the store and I see Billy and the Min Pins. Now, I think there's a reason why I didn't see this before. Maybe not. Anyways, it was published after Dahl's death. It's his last work, and it's quite short. But yeah, I think it was republished and illustrated by Quentin Blake, which is like the guy who did all of his books. So that's cool. Anyways, so that's the stack for today. Our short story from O'Connor. Guys, we're getting close to the end. I think there's maybe like 5 or 6 left. Anyways, the one we read this week was the Partridge Festival, which actually might be one of my favorites. It was very good. I know I've said that for a few now. So the turkey, what was the other one that I really liked? Good Country People. So the turkey, Good Country People, and then this one, the Partridge Festival, are all sort of my top 3 right now. Let me try to give you a summary. So, Partridge Festival, there's this guy. Oh man, I always forget the names. I'm so bad at this. Calhoun. I don't need to look. I remember. It's Calhoun. And he goes to he's a writer, aspiring writer. Like a lot of O'Connor's protagonists, kind of aspiring creatives, kind of that are failing. So maybe a bit of a self-insertion there, O'Connor. Although perhaps not. She became very famous. But Calhoun is going to Partridge, which is the town that his great aunts live in. He goes there ostensibly. Big word, sorry. It means under the pretense of visiting his great aunts, but of course he actually is repulsed by his great aunts and their overbearingness and boring normality. The reason he's actually going there is because there was a murder 10 days ago by this guy called Singleton, which is a very ironic name because we find out later that he doesn't have a wife and he kind of just hangs out in this dilapidated farmhouse all by himself. So Singleton, right? Anyways, Calhoun goes to Partridge to investigate the murder of 6 people. 6 people by this guy named Singleton. So when he gets there, he kind of knows the general story already. there's this guy named Singleton. Partridge has this festival every year. He didn't buy the Partridge Art Festival thing, or is it? No, it's the Azalea Festival, I think, something like that. He didn't buy the badge to support the festival because he's kind of an outsider. I don't judge. Okay, he didn't want to buy the badge. Right? No judgment from me. But anyways, the town judged him, and they kind of put a mock trial for him. It's a teasing thing, right? He's kind of like the scapegoat of the town. So they put him on trial. And it's kind of like and I think this is explicitly referenced. It's kind of like a Christ-like figure, right? Where he doesn't really do anything wrong, but yes, they put him on trial and convict him. And he's put in like an outhouse or the stocks or something for like a day. And it's very humiliating. And then when the town lets him go, this is all informal, of course. He just like goes on a rampage and he shoots 5 people that were like involved, and then 1 innocent person who he accidentally shot. And then of course he's tried and convicted for those murders. That's not informal, that's very formal. And he's put in a madhouse because they deem him to be insane. And so Calhoun gets there and he's like trying to talk to people about it. So he talks to this one little kid, or not a little kid, just like a regular guy. And he's like, well, and sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier. Calhoun is of the opinion that Singleton is innocent, not because he didn't commit the murder. He believes that he did, but because he was pressured to do it. And so he's more of a product of his environment. And so he's trying to argue this and like talk to people in the town to like gather evidence for a book he wants to write. But no one believes him or agrees with him. Everyone is like kind of just more simple-minded. And Calhoun has like great contempt and distaste for all the simple townsfolk who don't understand that Singleton is innocent because he was driven to murder. And so at one point, Calhoun is talking and he says, well, Partridge killed those people, like the town, because he sees Singleton just as the tool, the agent, not actually as a person who made that choice. And the guy's like, what? The town can't shoot people? And he doesn't really understand what Calhoun is arguing. And then at one point, Calhoun goes to the barber, and they have this extended conversation, and then the barber is kind of revealing the fact that, Singleton is kind of like a miser, and just kind of selfish, and doesn't really contribute to the society. And of course, Calhoun just sees this as further evidence of his hypothesis. But the barber keeps saying all these things, and then Calhoun is like you're such a bigot, and he like halfway through his haircut, he like takes off the bib and like runs out of the store. So he has like half a haircut. Anyway, eventually his aunts kind of try to set him up on a date with this other girl who's there. And they're next door neighbors, and it doesn't really describe her that much. She's taller than him, but there's no really real description. But I don't know, I felt like there was a little bit of tension there. I could see it, I ship it. And so they go on this date. It's not really a date, because they dodge what they're actually supposed to go do. I think they're supposed to go see a beauty pageant, but they both just leave, and they go to this like upstairs office, and so that what is it? I think the girl like wants to take notes on something. I don't remember. Anyways, they get to talking, and they both realize that they both sympathize with Singleton. So they're both kind of in this like weird position where like they agree on something, even though they pretend to hate each other, but they agree on this thing. So they kind of dare each other to go see him at the insane asylum, and then they kind of just like they ended up like daring each other, and they have to go do it now. So they meet up the next morning. The aunts are like, whoa, they're going on another date. Of course they're not. They're going to go see Singleton in the mental asylum. And they get there, they lie and say that they're relatives or whatever. And then Singleton, he's actually insane. He like runs around. He needs 2 bodyguards. He's like running around and like breaking stuff. And then he like tries to like sexually assault Mary, I should have mentioned her name. That's the girl who he was supposed to be going on a date with Calhoun. He like tries to sexually assault her, and the guards have to like restrain him, and then they have to like put him away. And so Mary and Calhoun are like, what the heck? They like dip out of there, and they get back in the car and drive as fast as they can. It's kind of dramatic. So yeah, and that's where it ends. And so it's a very interesting and well written, but the thing I like about it is it kind of seems to be cutting both ways. Like it's kind of it defies like a solid one-dimensional interpretation. What I mean by that is that I think Flannery O'Connor is like satirizing both positions. So on one hand, she's satirizing the people who believe that Singleton is only a product of his environment. Okay, but at the same time, she's also satirizing people that think that don't identify with the outsider and don't think that the environment has anything to do with people's actions, right? And so the way she does that is, in the first way, she's satirizing people that believe that he's just a product of the environment, like Mary and Calhoun, because when they finally meet him at the end of the book, he's actually crazy. He like, and so it seems like, you know, like the town had nothing to do with it. He would have murdered anyways. But then of course, that's not the way sorry, what am I trying to say? That's not the only thing she does in the short story, because at the same time, she mentions several times how like different characters feel like they're kind of, they have a kinship with him. And of course he also has like a Christ-like aspect, and you do sort of feel for him, right? In that conversation that Calhoun has with the barber, it does seem like he actually like kind of got bullied by the town, right? But I mean, the mock trial is like the best example of how he was bullied, but also someone put like a dead cat in as well, and they all like laughed at him when he almost got struck by lightning and died. So yeah, it defies categorization as like supporting one view or the other. So that's cool. Anyways, that's it. Sorry, I can't reach my copy of Ulysses, but we did the draw for that today, which you'll see a week late, but because I delay these videos by a week. But yes, I forget the name. It's like, oh, I'm not even gonna try. Jenna Khalid, something like that. Yeah, you won the copy of Ulysses. Congrats. So I think I responded to your comment. So yeah, just reach out and we'll ship it out to you. But no more giveaways, guys. It's getting expensive. Maybe if I one day live in the States, I can ship things with USPS for like $3. But in Canada, too expensive. So no more giveaways for the time being. Yeah, anyways, that's everything. So thanks for watching. Tune in again next week.